a lot of info, tapped in info. That like a lot. We're not just taught in school.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I think part of that is because like, you know, even me for example, like when I was in college, having these boosters come up and talk, like I wasn't in the right mindset to like hear any of that stuff.
Me neither, man.
You know what I mean?
Me neither at all. If I would go back to college now,
oh my
I would
gosh.
learn so much more.
Because you kind of like know exactly what you would be looking.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, just like, I remember people talking to me about like, you know, basketball isn't, you know, the only thing that you can do, or like use basketball, don't let basketball use you. Because I can remember just being in that mindset where like, you know, I got my first check, you know, the first thing I wanted to do was, you know, I want to show off a little bit, buy a little designer,
For sure.
go to the club, you know, I wanted to, you know, I didn't really understand how money worked or how to use it to the point now, like, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm cheap, but I kind of say I save my money to invest and to do the things that I want to do for fun, like hang out with friends, or like, you know, I practice the law of abundance a lot. You know what I mean? Just I don't really spend money to, you know, for anybody else but myself.
Right.
You know, I don't need anything flashy or anything like that. I live very
Really,
simple.
Just simple living, man.
Bro, I be with nature, bro. That's all I really need, for real.
Yeah.
Super tapped into my spiritual.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've there's a lot of like big entrepreneurs I kind of follow on like Instagram, like social media sites, and I know a lot of them will do that. Like they'll just go out in nature and just kind of like, you know, think, reconnect, just kind of like get in tune with, I guess, like their spiritual side almost.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
It's very powerful because, I mean, it sounds very crazy and cliche, but like, you know, all the answers and everything you need in life is like within inside you. And part of being able to like get the answers or find the answers from within is being able to have a quiet mind. You know, and a lot of people say they have like a calm and peaceful and calm mind, but it's very more complicated than like what it sounds like. Being able to have no thoughts at all and be pure awareness. That's something that a lot of people, you know, it's very hard to do, especially living in a society like this where you have so many distractions with cell phones, video games, TV. Like, it's very difficult. So even just taking the time to like, even sometimes I have a hard time just being like, all right, I'm going to be still and close my eyes and just be pure awareness.
Hard. It takes self-discipline for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, life is hard. You know what I mean? You have so many thoughts throughout the day. Like, you have tens of thousands of thoughts that you're not even aware of.
Right.
You know, as soon as you wake up to as soon as you go to sleep. You know, I remember just living in a fight or flight response, always worrying or thinking about something that's not even going on right now.
Right.
Even during basketball games, you know, when I was in college, just always thinking or worrying about, like, if I did something, who's thinking what, or, like, what's to come after. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the mind, if you can tame your mind and have a calm, peaceful, just no thoughts and be pure awareness within yourself, and then be able to elicit happiness and gratitude, just be grateful for what you have in that present moment. God will talk to you and give you all the answers you need that you asked for in that moment.
Right.
And it's really crazy to hear, but there's been so many times where, like, okay, I wrote down my goals and I set my intent. Okay, this is kind of what I want to, like, what should I do today that'll get me that much closer to my goal? And not only will he give me the answers, you know, through my mind, you know, but he'll also allow things to happen throughout the day. So, like, perfect example was, I was thinking, all right, I'm gonna hit my guy Kevin in a little bit. Like, I'm about to get on the podcast. I'm kind of like settled a little bit. Yeah. Literally, like, I'm not even kidding you. Like a few hours later, my dad was like, "Hey, let's go get some lunch." I go out to lunch and I see your dad. Yeah. I'm like, what? I was like, yo, like, just little small things like that. Like, God will give you everything you need. You just gotta learn how to, like, work with the power that He's given you. And, you know, that the first step to that is just meditating, just sitting in silence and just going through all your thoughts. Right. And, you know, you have to go through all of them. That's the hardest thing, because there's a lot of things that even myself, like, I was covering up or just distracting myself from, like, the thing that really bothered me on the inside, you know. You have to face those demons, and whenever you're able to face them and conquer them, you become unstoppable.
But most people don't face them though. They look to outside sources to fill that void, or to fill that void that they usually aren't even aware of. They don't even know it exists.
Distractions, bro. Like, it's so easy. 100% agree with you on that. I mean, it's easy to feel like, you know, you don't have to face those demons when, you know, let's say you have a lot of money, or you have a quote-unquote high status, you know, social status, which I believe is fake, you know, because that's not who are you on the inside, not who are you compared to who are you compared to what the world thinks. Like, that's not really who you are. But yeah, like, I think that's probably the biggest thing. Just go out in nature, man. Just go out in nature, sit, and just be in a peaceful environment. Be around some good people, high frequency, high energy, like true friends. Like, you know, and things like that would be like being able to grow is like so much easier.
Do you worry?
Do I worry?
I mean, like you said, you know, you've had injuries, you know, you've lived in countries, you know, halfway across the globe and stuff like that. Like, do you worry on a day-to-day basis?
I wouldn't say I don't worry on a day-to-day basis, but I will say that I do have moments that challenge me. Yeah. And, you know, those moments that challenge me, you know, especially like, I remember my Coach Pat, he
the GOAT, man.
Yeah, man, the GOAT. Shout out to Coach Pat. I remember when I broke my hand, and that was the first moment of adversity that I felt, you know. No, so I broke my hand, and I came back, and I had like an 0 for. You know, I was like 0 for 5. It was like back-to-back games where I played terrible. And like, I just felt like awful. And like, I was being down in that moment. And Coach Pat was like, okay, like, you read about stuff like that, people who, you know, come across failures and adversities. Now it's time to like actually live it out. Like, what you gonna do about it? And at that moment on, I think it was around January, I vividly put in my mind, you know what? I'm gonna take full control of my life. Like, it doesn't really matter what's going on, you know, it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the game, it doesn't really matter what happens at the end of practice or like how other people feel. I'm going to do a consistent routine of going in before and after every practice, working on my skills, and just adding stuff throughout the day that'll help me become a better basketball player and a better person, no matter what's going on. And, you know, it's easy to do that for a week. It's easy to do that for 2 weeks, but the most difficult part, staying on that consistent routine of just really like, I'm going to get better for not only
a year or 6 months or something. Yeah,
bro, because like just when I remember, just as me as a basketball player, like, say I have a good game, I'll feel like, you know what,
you're on top of the world, man.
Yeah, you feel me? And then especially being on social media and stuff, you can easily feel like that. You know what, I won't go as hard today, you know. I had a good game, I deserve it. Or like, let's say you have a bad game or a bad practice, something that can happen on a day-to-day. Yeah. Man, this ain't, what am I really doing this for? Right. Like, that right there, consistency and patience is the hardest thing, is one of the key traits you have to acquire in order to become successful. Because like, if you're not doing it truly for yourself and you don't have that patience, adversity, and just consistency of doing those every day-to-day things,
that's so true, man.
It's
so
tough,
true. I noticed that with the podcast. I think when I first started it was kind of like my ego talking. It was kind of from a selfish perspective to some degree. Like, I wanted to, you know, I wanted like the notoriety, I wanted like the social media clout that kind of came with it. Yeah. And then you do it for a while and you kind of realize like, okay, I got some of that. But, you know, to really be successful at this, to actually make this into something, you have to enjoy like the weekly grind that nobody else sees. You have to enjoy the little shit that, you know, nobody else is experiencing and nobody else really understands, you know?
That's probably the hardest thing that you probably dealt with, just that understanding piece.
Yeah. Like, I bet you deal with that big time.
Man, what, man? Crazy.